This one is for the 8th city. Yeah. Franklin, what's up? So cold, what's up? Put yours up, put yours up, put yours up, put yours up. Say oh, say oh, say oh.
Welcome to Live from Highway 58. We are live here from the Hubs Vine here in Franklin, Virginia. And today I am honored to have Spencer Tinkham. He has worked all over the world, and I'm so ready to get into this interview with him. How you doing, man?
I'm great. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get into it and talk art. So thank you. It's an honor to be with a fellow artist. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I just want to first start off and ask you about your early days and the journey and what got you into nature, I would say, because your work is so based on nature. What got you into nature?
So I'll start with how I got started. My grandfather on my dad's side gave me a pocket knife, and I would just start whittling with him and whittling with my dad, and just found such a freedom in being able to create something that was tangible. And I guess I love nature from being outside all the time, and I love birds in particular. That's really my passion. From making the sticks and little gadgets, tree forts, I found, like I said, so much freedom with a pocket knife. And I also have a younger brother, so if you can carve your name in something, you could really claim it, and there's some freedom there as well. So, but I really love birds, and grew up in Norfolk by the water, and would just see tons of birds. And I was just fascinated with how birds visit this area, but they originate as far away as the Arctic Circle, and then they go in the winter down to the Caribbean. So I'm seeing something in my backyard or area that came from thousands of miles away and then is on a vacation in the Caribbean. And so birds in particular, I felt like was a way for me to kind of vicariously experience the world and dream and imagine, and I found freedom in just their freedom. And so they really inspired me, and I worked with the Nature Conservancy making decoys for capturing birds and banding them and putting radio transmitters on them. And so I would start making shorebird decoys, and we would set them up on the beach and wait till a big flock flew into them. And that was pretty exciting, seeing something that was wild kind of befriend something that I made with my hands. Yeah. And then welcoming them with a big net that we shot over their backs. But yeah, so we would go and grab the birds, weigh them, band them, do all these recordings, sometimes take blood from them. Some of them would get fitted with a radio transmitter, and then I would check the online database and website every 4 to 6 weeks and see where the birds were pinging. And so it was really cool to see something that I had held or was just a foot or two away from is in Canada, and the Hudson Bay is in northern Alaska, and then is in St. Croix in the Caribbean. Seeing them react to weather systems like hurricanes, going thousands of miles straight without stopping, without eating, without landing. I just found it so inspiring. And so long story short story long, that's what fed my inspiration and passion for birds in particular. But I love nature. I love plants, fish, bugs, everything else. Not so fond of people, making people, but anything but people. So
that sounds good. So with the birds and when you were working with the birds all the time, is that when you really started to see like their beauty and what you wanted to create? Or was that something that you were already doing before you started?
So I'm going to do a roundabout answer again. My background is in science. I never studied art. I'm self-taught completely. I didn't take art in high school. I was in band, and that counted as my art credit, unfortunately. But so I'm self-taught, and for me, it was really humbling working so hard to make a bird, put it out there on the sand, capture the real deal, the live bird, and then compare and contrast what I made with the real thing and see how far off I was. And it just felt like I was continuously missing the mark. And so in one regard, I was completely blown away by the detail and the colors and the beauty of birds in nature. And in the other sense, it really humbled me. And that's where this continuous trial and error came into play. Making a lot of errors, but that's how I improved. I made duck decoys that were supposed to float, and about the first 30 or 40 of them sank. And I didn't know why, and I kept making them thinking, being optimistic, thinking I figured it out, and they kept sinking. Yeah. And you put them out when it's dark, and so you don't know if they're sinking or floating. Right. And by the time the sun came up, I had nothing in front of me. So, cool. So it's definitely been humbling in many ways, but by learning through trial and error, it's allowed me to come up with unique techniques and a unique perspective to make work that's more original. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, what was the first piece that really meant something to you? And then what has been your favorite piece this far?
My first piece is one of my favorite pieces, and it was a piece that I made, and my grandfather that helped me get started, he passed away from cancer, and it was the only piece that he got to see that I made. So it's really special for that reason in particular. So he got to see my first piece before passing away. And my favorite piece is whatever I'm working on currently. Yeah. So that's my safe answer. But it's true because I'm really passionate. I think you have to be passionate to create whatever you're working on. And if that's not what you're most excited about, then you need to maybe pivot a little bit. So for me, my favorite piece is whatever I'm currently working on. I just finished those quail up there, so I'm really excited about those. I have a couple of kingfishers that I'm working on right now that I'm excited to see them kind of come into fruition. I'm also doing works on paper. I'm doing some drawings and some prints that I'm really excited about. So I have a few different directions, few different dimensions going on right now. And as it gets closer to them being completed, that's the most exciting part, because it's such a process to create a sculpture. It starts out as a drawing, then it's a sculpture, and for me, it's also a painting. So it's kind of like 3 in 1. So it's really 3 works of art to create one. So when it kind of comes to completion, it's really exciting for me.
Especially when you just seen it just go from a block of wood and become something magical. My next question for you is, who were some of your people that inspired you the most when you first got into carving and doing things like that? I know there were probably some other artists that you maybe took inspiration from. So can you talk about a little bit about where you got your inspiration from and what you're doing now? I
actually wasn't too inspired from other artists. I didn't go to many museums. Really, my inspiration was from nature and just being so blown away with the beauty of the fish I was catching and seeing, the birds, crabs, bugs. I was more inspired by science and scientists than artists, I think. I wanted to go into science. I studied science in college, and I never really thought that I would be going into art until I did, literally until I did. I fought it for a long time, and so most of my inspiration comes from science and scientists and early naturalists, and also the people that supported me. My family encouraged me, and that was really inspiring as well, having somebody that believed in me kind of before I even believed in myself. So my grandfather that's here, Jim Vasodi. So my parents, my brother, everybody really played a part.
Hi, Granddad. How you doing? So I think that's awesome. I mean, being self-taught, is that not like, that's so inspiring. Like the fact that when we look at these beautiful creations that you made with your hands, and to know that you didn't go to a formal art school or have any formal training to do that, I'm like, I don't know where I would even begin. I don't know where I would even begin. So do you think that's given you an advantage with what you do? The fact that you have been self-taught compared to going to a formal training? Or do you feel like, maybe I could have went to a formal training and took it even higher than you've already taken it now?
That's a great question. I don't know because I don't have the formal training, so I kind of don't know what I'm missing out on. I think that it's allowed me to think more for myself. I've figured out different techniques. I've made my own tools. It's been very unconventional, and as I've gotten larger opportunities, where you studied art, a lot of people assume that I studied art in college and have a MFA, Master's of Fine Arts, or a Bachelor's in Fine Arts, and I have neither. And so that, in a way, can harm me when people realize that I don't have that formal education. It's kind of a quick way to interview somebody. But I think if they spend the time to look at my work and look at my body of work and look at the messages and the significance behind the pieces that I'm making, they see that it could be done either way. But without having that education, I truly don't know what I'm missing out on. But in a way, it's allowed me to not be too influenced by anybody in particular and make really original work and be able to shift around and figure out styles, figure out techniques to achieve those styles, and kind of keeps the work fresh. So it allows me to think more creatively. A lot of people will look at my work and they'll say, oh, it's painted so well or sculpted so nicely. But for me, I think my strength is actually my creativity, not so much the technical skills. I think it's more my creative skills, and creativity is something that's hard to teach, and I think it could also almost be taught out of it. So in a way, I'm grateful to not have my creativity be impacted through that. So thank you. That's a good one.
Well, I like to look at it like you're inspiring a whole new generation right now, because, and I've been studying Spencer now for a couple of days. So I've had a lot of time to go and look at some of your work and some of the things that you've done, and even some of the readings that are online. You have won some awards, man. You've gotten some great honors with what you do. Could you share those with the audience today and just kind of talk about one of them that's meant the most to you?
Sure. So I guess I'll start. This is what I mentioned to the high schoolers earlier. I've been really blessed to win several awards, but to do that, you really have to put yourself out there. Nobody's going to talk your work up or you up if you don't. And nobody will talk your work up or you more than yourself. And you have to put yourself in a position to be vulnerable, to have rejection. I've gotten 3 rejection letters today already. So it is a numbers game. For every 1 or 2 things that I get, there's probably 50 that I don't get. And I'm okay with that. I don't take it personally.
Yeah.
And that's really a part of the process. And you have to be fearless in that sense and just keep reapplying. I've reapplied to things with the same work, same application, and gotten it after 2 or 3 years of being rejected. So it's subjective sometimes. The jury changes, the selection process changes. So I just wanted to throw that out there to start with. A meaningful award that I got recently was through the National Sculpture Society. It's one of the oldest sculpture societies in the country. I think it is the oldest in the country, and I got it for, I got the annual award for excellence in animal sculpture. And it's a really elite group of people, and I got voted in as a member. And the guy that made the Abe Lincoln Memorial in DC was a founding member of this organization.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really, there's some real titans.
That's special.
Yeah, in the organization.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you. So that was really a big honor for me. Having your work be collected by museums is a big honor.
That's my next question.
So yeah, I'm grateful for that. That really kind of rubber stamps the work that curators that have studied formally think that it's important enough to add to a permanent collection, where a museum will have it and caretake it for as long as possible. So those are a couple of my biggest achievements, I think.
Let's give him another hand for that. And I was about to ask you, and I had to grab my phone because I had all these notes over there, and I'm just like, where are my notes? But I was gonna ask you, how does it feel for you when you do get accepted into another museum? And right now you're in museums all over the world. What's that moment like when someone says to you like, hey, this is what we want, this is what we wanna take care of? That has to mean like the most to you than almost anything, right?
It definitely does. And to be honest, it kind of surprises me which pieces museums want to acquire for their collection. And so I view every piece when I'm making it, especially after the first time. I had a museum the first time a museum acquired my work was in 2019, I believe, and it's a museum in Wisconsin, and it was a piece that I never expected to be collected by a museum, and I love it, and I still do, and it shifted my perspective a little bit. So every piece that I make, I want it to be museum worthy, and I look at it as if it could be collected by a museum, and several times it is, and I'm grateful that I take the time and the intentionality to have that perspective, because when it comes into fruition, I'm always glad that I never feel like, oh, I wish they got this one instead, or something like that. So every piece I look at as if it's going to be in a museum, and sometimes people will privately collect the work and donate it to a museum, or just keep it for themselves. I want everybody to be able to have work that's that quality and at that high of a standard. And so every piece I make from start to finish, I have that perspective. And, I've gotten a lot harder on myself, I think, having that experience. So it's helped me, improve the quality of my work from then on out. Yeah. So instead of cutting corners thinking, oh, it's a snowball effect, it'll get easier, which in a way it kind of does, but in a way it also, you have to uphold this standard, because thousands of people will see your work over the decades and say, how did this get in here? So I always try to really make every piece as if it's potentially going to be in a museum.
Yeah. And what do you think is the trickiest piece that you've ever had to carve?
It's like putting a puzzle together. When you put the puzzle together, it's no longer difficult. And so I have a lot of confidence in my abilities. So there are challenges, but I always feel like I can overcome them. I feel like if you don't, then you won't overcome them. So a lot of times my design will change, but I'll still get to the finish line. So working in wood, working in metal, each medium has different limitations. I've worked with stone, wood, metal, glass, all kinds of materials, and each material has its own strength and weakness and its own purpose and place. And so using them together, I can find out how to achieve looks that I'm aiming for. So yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah. Thank you, and I know we're gonna open it up here so now for some Q&A, because I know you guys might have some questions for him as well. But before we end this segment, looking ahead, what's next for you, and what's one of the things that maybe you haven't achieved yet that you're hoping to achieve in the near future?
That's a great question. As far as what's next, I'll do that first. That's a little easier. I have a show that opens on Saturday in San Francisco. Next month, thank you. Next month I have a show in Maryland, a solo show in Maryland, and then a small show in Brooklyn.
Nice.
And then I have what's called a residency, where I'll be working and talking and doing demonstrations and showing my work in Key West in January.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
yeah, great time to be south.
Yeah,
so looking forward to that. As far as what's next, I really like inspiring other people, working with other people, teaching them art, whether they continue it or not. Just my approach, hopefully it'll, help anybody that wants to go off and do something on their own, whether it's going to trades or go to college or start a business. So I just really want to encourage people to do that. I have a few people that'll help me part-time in my studio, and I work with several homeschool kids. So for me, that's really exciting. Hopefully I can just kind of build on that legacy. I'd love to get more work in museums. I'm just aiming high, and whatever sticks.
Yeah,
so
throwing against the wall. Yeah,
just seeing whatever happens. So I'm just grateful to be here. If it ends tomorrow, I'm grateful for everything that I've gotten to do already. If it continues, that's great too. So I've really enjoyed the journey, and I think that's one of the most important parts. If you don't enjoy the journey, then it's a tough ride.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And my last question, because we have an audience who will be watching, where can people keep up with your journey, and where can they follow you and keep up with all the good news and the things that's happening in your world?
Yeah, so the best way is on social media. If you have social media, my social media is Spencer Tinkham Art on Instagram and on Facebook. I also have a website that you can see that I update every several months. The social media is usually several times a week or weekly. So that's the best way to keep tabs on me. So yeah, thank you.
Nice. Can we give them a big hand?
Thank you guys. Thank you.
This has been really awesome. Spencer, one thing about your art, you have, like has been said already, you showed us that there's beauty in every detail. And sometimes those details are the ones that we kind of overlook, where we might go and see leaves on the ground and just kick them and walk over them, or that little piece of jewelry that we might throw in the trash because we're not using it or have use for it anymore. You can still find something beautiful to do with those items. And I just think that is such a great thing. So this has definitely been an honor. And I have really enjoyed the chance to sit down with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And I also want to give a special thanks to Holly and the Rawls Museum Arts. Let's give her a hand. And we can't forget about the Hubs Vine, this beautiful location. Thank you so much yes, we really appreciate it. Marshall, thank you. Lynn, thank you so much. And thank all of you for coming out and being a part of our first live show.
Thank you.
So now I guess we're done with this portion, and you guys can meet and greet Spencer and get a chance to say hello and all those good things. Thanks
Definitely.
again, buddy.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Yes, sir.